Good evening, friends. Thanks for your valuable comments on my video on Twitter, Coup, and Twitter. I make sure I read all of them and post them on social media. Today we have Dr. MR Venkatesh back with us to discuss the latest topics. Welcome, MR. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
MR, as we have, recently came to know, the Chinese virologist Dr. Li Meng Yan spoke to various media in India about the recent development regarding the novel coronavirus and the claims that China is using it as a bioweapon. Dr. Yan said that the coronavirus was purposely enhanced with a lot of caution to make it more harmful to humans and accuses China of using it as a bioweapon. A document written by Chinese scientists and health officials before the pandemic in 2015 states that SARS coronavirus were a new era of genetic weapons that could be artificially manipulated into an emerging human disease virus when weaponized and unleashed. In a paper titled The Unnatural Origin of SARS and New Species of Man-Made Viruses as Genetic Bioweapons, suggested that World War III could be fought with biological weapons. The document revealed that the Chinese military scientists were discussing the weaponization of SARS coronavirus 5 years before the COVID-19 pandemic. This may explain why China has been so reluctant for outside investigations into the origin of COVID-19. Iman. So what do you think about this sudden expose by this lady?
Now, communism is an Asuric force, and it will manifest itself in these ways only. It is natural for the demonic force, the Asuric force, to behave in such manner. So it is expected. So I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'm only surprised that the people are surprised. Look at the level of intelligence that we have world over. The CIA, the FBI, the Israeli Mossad. Why our own intelligence, which is second to none, could not fathom this.
Yeah.
This was waiting to happen. This was waiting to explode on the world.
Yeah.
So to me, the mea culpa of this lady, that there was a designer virus. I call this designer virus. I don't call this anything else. This designer virus has been unleashed on the unsuspecting world.
Yeah.
And this was expected.
Yeah.
The only thing that I can fathom or I can foresee, that there is a karmic force which is much superior to all these machinations of the powers that be.
Yeah.
The Soviet Russia was at that time relatively more powerful than the communist China today.
Yes.
And it crumbled in the light of its own contradictions, and it imploded. The American financial system was said to be absolutely fail-proof.
Yeah.
And it collapsed in 2008 like nine pins. It just vanished. So it is a matter of time that the Chinese will also collapse and implode. But the world will have to pay a very heavy price.
Yeah.
And I see this as probably the beginning of the end of China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But MR, see the way this president behaves, he's not bothered. He just looks like a zombie walking about with absolutely no feelings, and absolutely also sure that the world.
Communist.
Pardon?
What else do you expect of a communist?
Yeah, and he also shows that he is not bothered whether people will attack him or not, because he feels that he is immune to all this.
See, much as you talk about China, you must also understand that there is a huge set of network that pawns all across America, even in India, even Latin America, Europe, which may not go by the simple appellation of a communist or anything else.
Yeah.
But they all believe in a state control, on a rigid control, or control of the masses. And to this extent, I think China is not alone in this war. China is having friends across continents.
Yes.
And that I said that I would always believe that the Chinese are not some sort of an isolationist state.
Mm.
They have developed their statecraft
Yes.
so well for the last 2,500 years in the days of Sun Tzu, and they have taken on an unsuspecting world big time. In fact, there is a prophecy
Yeah.
that the yellow race will rule us, but it will rule us only for a very brief period of time when it begins to collapse.
Yeah.
And this, I think, the moment or that the yellow race or the Chinese are begin to dominate the world affairs has come. But I can assure you that it is built not on dharma, it is not built on righteousness, it is not built on a natural or an expected way of growth. It is based on a philosophy of destruction. It is based on an ideology of dominance.
Yeah.
That doesn't survive in this world.
Yeah. And what is this also, Emma? There is suddenly something like a mistress that has come for COVID. That's black, you know, what you call it? The black fungus. I mean, what is this that's tagging along now?
I see several variants. This fungus in the eye, if I'm correct, correct me, Meena, is it in the eye? People are talking about a fungus in the eye.
Yes.
And there is also a very funny variety. I'm using the word funny because my limited vocabulary does not help me with my any other sort of expression. People at evening 4 o'clock are caught with mild fever, and by 8 their lung capacity comes to 75%, falls to SpO2 levels falls to 75% within 4 hours. And then there is a variety which gives blood clot, and that is why we are seeing enormous amount of heart attacks also. I'm no medical expert. I'm not even a student of biology at, beyond high school. So, but I can see some statistics, and I can see that there are variants and mutants of this virus that has gone across the length and breadth of the hinterland. And believe me, our statistics even from major cities is suspect. And when it comes to hinterland, it is all the more suspect. So my view is that today we do not know really as to what is the precise nature of this virus and how it attacks. So there are people who complain of a failing eye, people who complain of failing heart, people who complain of a failing lung. So there is no uniformity. Though the virus is a designer virus, the manifestations are not uniform. They are not one and the same. They attack several people in myriad form, and people are made to suffer. And it must be the most agonizing thing, Meena, to see your near and dear one ask for breath, and you take to hospitals after hospitals only to find that you don't get bed. If you get bed, you don't get oxygen. If you get oxygen, you don't get ventilator. If you get ventilator, you don't get medicines. And then you see that people collapse. And then you have to wait for a day or two to even cremate the body. It must be one of the, I think this is the typical pralayam that we talk about. But pralaya is in slow motion. Unfortunately, pralaya is some sort of a nanosecond occurrence, typically. But this is pralaya in slow motion. It happens so very slowly. And not a day passes, Meena, that we are seeing our near and dear ones, friends, relatives, distant relatives. Somebody or the other calls you up in the morning, and every time my phone rings, I'm petrified because somebody is asking for help of oxygen or medicine, or telling you that so and so is collapsing. They are not able to get ambulance, and on this lockdown, we are also not able to help. So it's something. But long and short of it, the combined curse of all of us will be on Xi Jinping, will be on China, will be on people who have not helped us at this time of need. And WHO be damned. And I think I will hold singularly what WHO has failed to do to us. I think it is time that countries which are responsible to their own citizens, sovereign countries of the world like India, like America, like France, Britain, Germany, all these countries which talk about modern constitutions and hold themselves accountable to their citizens must walk away from this multilateral agencies which owe no responsibility to anybody, but yet occupy the vantage points of dominating the global narrative. I think we must put an end to this nonsense called WHO, all these multilateral or your apex level, global level organizations.
Yeah. And in the midst of all this, Emma, what is happening in Delhi? COVID has exposed Kejriwal. He's a real rogue. He is not. He is not. He is no transparent reformist or a chief minister who is in control of the COVID situation. The exploding COVID situation in Delhi has exposed everything that is wrong with Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal and brought out his worst side. He is narrow-minded, deceitful, and a blundering administrator who makes magnified claims. It would not be an exaggeration to say that Delhi is a complete mess, and with his handling of the coronavirus pandemic, he has lost immense political capital, ensuring that a multitude of questions are raised over his governance abilities. From fudging data related to coronavirus, to trying to keep Delhi's hospitals only for city residents, to wasting the lockdown period by not expanding the health infrastructure, he has been doing everything that could be that should not be done during a pandemic. The Delhi CM handling of the current crisis had disproved a lot of what he claimed to stand for, and as a wise colleague remarked, he has taken his mask off. MR.
See, I don't give any great importance to this charlatan called Kejriwal. He doesn't deserve our attention. Anything more than what probably a municipal councillor deserves. This obsession of the BJP IT cell with Kejriwal must end, because probably we must understand Delhi is not India, India is not Delhi. And we must also understand this is a pan-Indian crisis where failure of the state, when I say the state, I mean the government, both state and center, is palpable. How to single out at this point in time, and you don't expect anything from Kejriwal. The problem is many of you are finding a failure in Kejriwal because you had an expectation in the first place. Probably I'm not so much against Kejriwal because I don't consider him as some sort of a deliverance mechanism. I consider him as a pain, and that's all. And I have to bear with it. Be that as it may, to single him out as the greatest villain of the piece, when states after states, now it's a COVID has been a great leveler. It has brought the DMK to be as good as the Akalis, the Shiv Sena as good as Nitish Kumar, the BJP as good as the Congress. Now we must understand as intelligent citizens as not to make this as a person-centric issue. Rather, this is a systemic issue. And that systemic issue is that the state has failed to deliver. That is the core issue. The core issue is not Kejriwal. Now Kejriwal cannot help me deliver, get me oxygen in, say, Chennai. Now, Kejriwal's limitation is probably 50 kilometers by 50 kilometers, 2,500 square kilometers. That is probably his extent of his influence. Now, we stop at that. But what about the grand idea called India? What about Chennai? What about Kerala? What about Bengal? What about Bihar, UP? You name every state, we find that the health infrastructure, which was already fragile, has virtually collapsed, and it had to. Now the reason why I say I don't find so much of people understanding the problem is that on a given day, per lakh of population, southern states may be having anywhere between 250 to 300 hospital bed per lakh population. Now of that 300 to 250 to 300 beds, 25 beds may be ICU beds fitted with ventilators, your oxygen, so on and so forth. But suddenly, if out of, so you expect 250 people on any given day to fall ill, and you are able to cater to their requirements. But on a given day, if instead of 250, 10,000 people fall ill, you don't have an infrastructure to cater to the need. That means you have to convert every 10th building in your mohalla into a hospital. That doesn't happen. Hospitals are not built to cater to every 10th citizen. They are catering to, say, 250 per lakh. This is the estimation. Now, what has happened? This was expected, and this was bound to happen when you have such a low level of bed. We have never, and this is historical. You cannot create hospitals overnight. We somehow seem to think that doctors have to be rationed. The Medical Council of India always thought that hospitals should not be developed, or doctors should not be developed. India should have the least per capita doctors per lakh population. Somehow we had some fancy ideas, and that's how we are going ahead. And on the other hand, we had bright students who wanted to come to hospitals, who wanted to become doctors. I also wanted, in a younger days, wanted to become a doctor. But my father told me, you can't get a seat. So I had to go ahead and do my chartered accountancy, and the rest is history. Be that as it may, the more important thing is that there is a demand and there is a lack of supply. This is at a macro level. This is the infrastructure. But where government, I think both state and center met with their Waterloo was when they did not anticipate that there will be a second wave, and second wave will call for oxygen, and oxygen requirement has again limited. It has probably 25 beds per lakh or 30 beds per lakh is what we could get hospital beds ready. Probably we could not have got the beds ready. At least we could have got the oxygen ready. And that is where I think state after state, including the center, failed us in preparing ourselves. And I would say that all our chief ministers, including all the cabinet ministers of the union government and the prime minister, probably after the month of November, December onwards, gave us a feeling, though they might have given an occasional statutory warning, that may be there. But the way they conducted themselves, they gave us a feeling that life had returned to normal. All is well, all was well, nothing to panic. We have conquered the scourge of COVID, and it will be business as usual. And that is where I think the common man took it for granted. And that is why we are today paying a very heavy price. And we were unprepared. We let our guards down too soon. And I'm sorry. And the net result was that the common man took life so easy and so casual that he did not foresee. He was also unprepared. And that was, and Corona was waiting in the wings, lurking, that they came, and it came and hurt us, and we were caught completely with the guards down. That is why you see the ferocity of COVID on one hand and the unpreparedness of the other. It is a complete systemic breakdown, and I think we need to go back to the drawing board after COVID. Today, it is not the time. I disagree with anybody who points fingers at either Arvind Kejriwal or the chief ministers of the state or the prime minister. We must agree that as a nation we have failed, and only if we do a honest assessment, diverse from personal assessments of personal characters, personalities, we can do a honest assessment, and only then we can get to the truth of the matter and remedy it, because this is not going to come. The third wave will come, the fourth wave will come, the fifth wave will come. So we have to increase our preparedness, the health infrastructure, which is both cost effective. We can't put in bed for every 10 people, one bed. We can't do that also.
Yeah.
We have to be cost effective. We have to strike a balance, and we have to get it done. That is what I would say, that hold your horses. Don't blame any individual. Personalities come, personalities go. I'm sorry. Let us throw away this personality game, blame game. Let us concentrate on the future. Let us concentrate on building a brilliant infrastructure in this country called India.
Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, MR, in Maharashtra, the Enforcement Directorate books Anil Deshmukh under anti-money laundering law to probe his financial dealings. Days after the central CBI filed an FIR against Anil Deshmukh on charges of bribery, The ED has now filed a case against him under the Prevention of Money Laundering Act, PMLA. Deshmukh is a leader of the Nationalist Congress Party and the former Home Minister of Maharashtra. As per reports, the ED had filed an enforcement case information report against him in connection to the allegations of accepting bribe made by ex-Mumbai top cop Paramveer Singh. As such, Anil Deshmukh might be summoned by the ED for interrogation. The case was made out based on the details of the corruption case filed by the CBI on April 24th. The central agency has, however, not specified the quantum of illegal gratification, but sources said that it will probe his financial transactions. After the ECIR was filed, both the NCP and Congress leaders have alleged that it was a case of political revenge. They claimed that the action against Deshmukh was taken to divert attention from PM Modi's supposed mismanagement of the coronavirus pandemic. The National Congress Party has claimed that BJP wanted to defame the Mahavikas Aghadi and the party. In a statement, NCP leader Nawab Malik claimed, right from Singh's allegations to the filing of the case by the ED, it is all politically motivated and aimed at defaming Deshmukh by misusing power. It is clear that BJP is playing politics using CBI, ED, and other central agencies. Whatever the legal aspects, Deshmukh ji will cooperate in the probe. This is what is happening in Maharashtra now, MR.
See, first and foremost, you must understand how the law works. Whenever there is an FIR filed usually by the CBI in such cases, which involves financial transactions, the ED also jumps in and files ECIR, which is Enforcement Crime Information Report. It's a natural corollary. But if you take the past 7 years of the Modi government's track record, if I were Anil Deshmukh, I'll be distributing sweets. Why? Because Modi government is such a tolerant and such a very large-hearted government. After filing FIR and ECIR, it lets go of most of its political opponents, and they can be rest assured that nothing will happen. And that is the track record of this Modi government. I am sure we are in a very premature stage, but inshallah, if we meet after, say, 8 years from today, and if Candid Meena is asking me a question, what will happen about Anil Deshmukh, I will still hold the same thing, that nothing will happen to Anish Deshmukh. Why do I say this? Nothing has happened to Robert Vadra. And Robert Vadra's allegation against Robert Vadra was made by no less than Vasundhara Raje Scindia in the run-up to 2013 assembly elections. Nothing has happened. Mr. Modi said there is a tax called Jayanti tax, obviously hinting at the corruption of Jayanti Natarajan, who was the then environment minister. Not even an FIR has been filed against her. Again, Mr. Rahul Gandhi's citizenship is under doubt, but no action has been taken. There has been n number of cases, CWG, National Herald, all these point out to serious flaws in the functioning of several congressmen. 7 years have passed, nothing has happened to them. On the contrary, they seem to give a feeling that Narendra Modi has done some financial shenanigans, and unless you are fully alert mentally, you will get to a feeling that it is BJP and and Narendra Modi who have looted us, and the Congress is in charge. So BJP by nature is a very large-hearted party, and I will say that they have such a large heart for their political opponents that they will not do anything. If I were Anil Deshmukh, I know nothing will happen, nothing will touch me, nothing will happen. So there will be a hawa in the media, like you will be asking what will happen. Probably some people may even come to me for some opinion as a lawyer and ask me what will happen, this will happen, that will happen. I will give you a guarantee that Anil Deshmukh is as protected as the President of America. Nothing will happen.
Now there's something even more amusing, MR. What can be more ridiculous than this is the Shiv Sena on Tuesday described Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray as the family doctor of the 12 crore people of his state, saying His caring attitude and efforts have prevented the state from crossing the danger level of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is after Kiran Majumdar of Biocon and even Supreme Court praised Maharashtra's efforts at tackling the COVID crisis. A huge whitewashing campaign is happening to redeem MVA's image in the public eye. In the editorial in the party mouthpiece, Samna, the Sena also said that even Prime Minister Modi had acknowledged Maharashtra's efforts in mitigating the second wave of the pandemic. In his recent interaction with physicians, the Chief Minister had urged them to help in the early diagnosis of the COVID-19 infection in their patients and facilitate timely treatment for them, terming Thackeray, who heads the Sena, a COVIDologist. The editorial said he was probably the only Chief Minister who has studied the COVID-19 crisis in detail. Your comments, Emma?
See, this shows the seriousness or the lack of it in dealing with the crisis. We are amidst a war. And this is what BJP also did somewhere in February. It declared that we have won over COVID, only to be finding itself in the wrong end of the stick just 45 days later. Now, nothing better can be expected with these low lives. All that I can see is nothing better. I don't expect something. When people are dying, when people don't have hospital beds, when people don't have oxygen, when people don't have proper healthcare, medicines, and what we are reporting is a small fraction of deaths and cases, and we are simply denuded by our own. A grand delusion overtakes us, and we think that we have won over COVID. When this again a second wave is only a temporary one, we may have a lull and a pause, and we can have a third wave. And we don't even calculate that we need to inoculate or give vaccine to somewhere around 100 crore people. So 2 doses means 200 crore. 200 crore production will take so long, and that is the time taken for people to be vaccinated. We don't even have this type of calculations done. We rush to say that we want to vaccinate everybody, universal vaccination, and start, premature jubilation and declaration of success is a sign of a demented civilization. We are so yearning for success. We cry for success that we want to celebrate at the slightest pretext. I can understand once you vaccinate 200 crore people, 2 times 100 crore people, you then celebrate. I can see a point. I can see a point when you start celebrating after 180 crore people have been vaccinated. We have not even vaccinated 18 crore people. Till date, 18 crore doses, which means 9% of the targeted number that we have to achieve. We are just not even in double digits.
Yes.
And we are vaccine supplier to the world. We are this to the world. We are vaccine factory. We will vaccinate people. We have vaccinated much more than Singapore. Mylapore can do it much better than Singapore. If you want to compare Mylapore and Singapore, it is okay. If you compare Dadar with Singapore, it is okay. Population of probably Bombay will be exceeding that of Switzerland. Now, we have to have a sense of understanding of our population, of the lack of education, of so many things that are there in our system that makes the system weak. So if politicians, intellectuals, writers start jubilation, get into a jubilation mode, even before the first ball is bowled, I only pity these people. All I can say is that let them have a better mental faculty. That's all.
And Emma, see, as if this is not enough, in the MVA, there's a lot of discord as well. As if to put Uddhav Thackeray in his place, Sharad Pawar, the chief of the Nationalist Congress Party, and widely believed to be the chief architect of the Mahavikas Aghadi Alliance in Maharashtra, is reportedly unhappy with Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray. According to a report published in Marathi News Daily, Tarun Bharat, Sharad Pawar believes that he committed a big mistake by making Uddhav Thackeray the Chief Minister of Maharashtra. The report states that after Uddhav Thackeray stopped responding to Sharad Pawar's phone calls, the NCP chief confided in Shiv Sena's Rajya Sabha MP Sanjay Raut that he made a big mistake by making him the Chief Minister. The Marathi Daily further conjectured that discussions in the political crisis attribute Pawar's disillusionment to Thackeray's nature. Speaking at a program entitled West Bengal to Pandharpur, which discussed the assembly election result in the 5 states, senior journalist Anil Thatte revealed that Sharad Pawar told Raut that he or Eknath Shinde should have been a far better choice for the post of Maharashtra's Chief Minister. Thatte also said that the Mahavikas Aghadi does not have a capable leadership to stand against Fadnavis. A rift in the ruling alliance in the state is inevitable. It will happen soon. It looks like they're going to break up or what?
Meena, this I have been holding
Yeah.
that the Maharashtra government is a combination of whiskey, lassi, and Gomutra. Okay. It's a very strange concoction.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I have not tasted this concoction yet, but that's what it is. Now, it is bound to have its own internal contradictions come to the fore. But you must also understand, unlike honorable men, the thieves have their own honor. And they continue to be in power because they are in business of whatever they are doing. And so it is the power that will be the biggest glue. And they will continue. In my view, it is very difficult that this will break. There will be a lot of backbiting. There will be a lot of bitching. There will be a lot of allegations. There will be a lot of abuses that will go on. But they also know that they will not reach the breaking point. The breaking point will not be reached because this is an alliance which understands power. It understands without power, it will have its own problems, own set of problems. So that is why I would say that they will not break down as easily as what some commentators believe. They have come for a definitive, limited purpose. They don't view that Sharad Pawar is not a fool. He's a practitioner of real politics. He understands. It is not his idea to oppose or create a huge ideological force that will oppose the BJP. That is not his idea. His idea is a limited one, that loot and scoot for the limited period of time that is available. So they will postpone the inevitable. They will go on postponing the inevitable as long as possible. And in the interregnum, they will invariably look at this loot and scoot politics that they are practicing. So this type of, and Tarun Bharat, to be very honest, maybe a BJP-backed journal or a magazine. So I do not, strangely, this has not been reported by some other local media or channels. So I would even, assuming that I take it at face value, would not put any political gravitas to this particular thought, and I would leave it at that.
Okay. In the last piece of news, Emma, we had discussed about Bill Gates here in a day back about, whether he is a philanthropist or a devil, a Satan or a saint. In an interesting piece of news, Bill Gates stands further exposed in a biography. He has hired strippers, held naked parties during younger days. Media only published what was fed by Microsoft, says the biographer. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has been making headlines ever since he announced that he's getting a divorce from his wife, Melinda Gates, after 27 years of marriage. Now, in another shocking revelation, journalist James Wallace, who authored 2 books about Gates during 1990s, has accused Gates of being a womanizer since his early years. In an interview with the Daily Mail, he said that the billionaire was far more than just a little computer nerd. He claimed that Bill Gates held wild, naked parties with strippers in his bachelor days. He was no choir boy in his early days as a tech founder. Wallace said in an interview with the British newspaper that Gates' womanizing wasn't even curtailed when he began dating his now estranged wife, Melinda Gates, which ultimately led to their divorce. According to the journalist, the mainstream media wanted to focus on the tech's mogul technology and business stories, and therefore didn't report on the wild bachelor parties that Microsoft's boyish chairman would throw in his Seattle home, for which Gates would visit one of the Seattle's all-nude nightclub and hire dancers to come to his home and swim naked with his friends in his indoor pool. It was a continuation from his time at Harvard, where he did like to frequent Boston's notorious combat zone with its pawn shows, strip joints, and prostitutes, Wallace wrote. Though Gates began dating Melinda in '88, he continued to play the field for a while, especially when he was out of town on business. He would frequently hit on female journalists who covered Microsoft and the company industry, the author wrote. Interestingly, as I said, we had a show where Savio and I were discussing whether he's really a saint or a devil in disguise. What is your opinion, Mar?
See, his personal life is of no concern to me. Let us be very clear. And
But MR, you can't say that. A person with values and strict, rules.
That's what I'm coming to.
Yeah.
What he is and what he did in his personal life or capacity generally should not bother us.
Yeah.
And I can because I am privy to several personal lives of several people. I know that what they are in the public life is not what in the private life. Private life, every saint has a very colorful personal life. Let us put it this way.
Yeah.
Bill Gates is no exception. But having said all these things, I would not comment anything further on Bill Gates because it is not within me to comment on a personal life of a person.
Yeah.
Having said that, I come to your point, Meena, now that people like Bill Gates are benchmark for the next society. They are they are the standards.
Yeah.
So it does shock, like what happened in case of Tiger Woods, like what happened in case of several of those people who had extramarital affairs. Okay, and in the world of finance, it is very common to have these type of affairs. I've seen it in close quarters, and I've been. Shall I say I have endured through the whole thing. So this doesn't shock me. What does worry me is that Bill Gates was a benchmark and probably a sort of an icon for the next generation. Unfortunately, that we are running short of heroes in real life. We don't have icons in real life. We can't ask our children to look at that person and emulate. We are running short of that very small number. Okay. And so my worry is that we can't today talk about Bill Gates in such high esteem after the biography comes in. And we will have to truncate ourselves. What he does in a personal life is his personal life. He is entitled to go to swim with whomsoever he wants, with appropriate clothes or without appropriate clothes. That's his problem. But my problem is I can't look at my child after this biography comes out to my son or daughter and tell them that, look, you emulate Bill Gates. That is where I think we will have
problems.
Yeah, that is the problem.
Yeah. And also, you must know that, when a person is very truthful in his character and he is sincere to his family, then, his sincerity extends to the city, the town, the country, and so on. I mean, in Bill Gates' case, he even knew about the coronavirus before it hit us. And so many other things, so he's been manipulating our lives even from the beginning. So whatever he does now, people will start hating him for whatever he's done.
See, he may be the corporate version of Xi Jinping. We don't know.
Exactly.
Okay, or the America's answer to Xi Jinping. Be that as it, I have only one thing.
Yeah.
That we should not, without scrutiny, elevate anybody to a demigod status.
Yes.
And without scrutiny, we should also not, throw away somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, down into the dumps. Now, as far as Bill Gates is concerned, I have always had a lurking suspicion about him.
Yeah.
And now that his personal character has been revealed, that he's a colorful character, I would step back and be maintaining an arm's length from him.
Yeah.
And in this country, anybody who comes with a white background or certificate from America, is instantaneously defied. Okay, and today Melinda Bill Gates or that Melinda Foundation or whatever it is, they have virtually penetrated into several layers of our health infrastructure.
Yes, yes.
And this has all happened. They have the conjoined twins of the big four accounting firm also as cheerleaders, which bats for them. And and the answer to this is, I have been talking about this to the BJP leaders, writing to people, and I've been pleading that please declare along with your asset details, every joint secretary and above must tell us whether their children are employed in foreign multinational companies, if so, at what post.
Yeah.
I am making this very clear because the health minister of India may be an incorruptible man. But I cannot say this for the health secretary or the joint secretary in every state, in every single department of the health ministry, where a crucial decision may be taken which will swing the fortunes of this country one way or the other decisively. And that is why I think we are failing as a nation repeatedly, because all that you have to do is to catch hold of his son and give him an employment in Singapore.
Yes.
And the entire, whether it is Bill Gates or no Bill Gates, the fortune gates for India is irreparably opened. Unless we have, publish it. Simple. Transparency is the greatest antidote to all these things. You just publish it. I want to know joint secretary, health, son or daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law. Why is it that, where is he employed? Is he employed with Bill Gates Foundation? If he is employed, what are the decisions that you are taking?
Yeah.
These are the subtlest form of corruption that is happening in this country. And this is where we wanted systemic changes, which Narendra Modi has not brought about. Though occasionally we hear one or two or three, but that is not enough. A systemic change has to happen. Unless that happens, I don't think that we will be fighting the scourge of your COVID in a way that we will like it to be fought.
Yeah. Even his contribution to COVID by way of money. I mean, when he gives us something, we have to also pay back. That's also something,
There is no free lunch in life.
Yeah, exactly.
And if somebody thinks, good luck to him.
Yeah. There's a question for you. Sir, can you answer Arnab sir not appearing on screen? The nation wants to know, where is our Arnab sir? Rishabh is asking.
Okay, Rishabh, to answer you very truthfully, I myself don't know. But and I can assure you he's safe and sound. Probably has taken a hiatus. He also deserves, he also works a lot. And probably he has taken a break. And I'm sure he must be back very shortly. Don't worry about it.
Thank you so much, MR. And that was a lovely session with you. And we'll wait for another session again. Good night and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.